wrong direction. There we go. Right then, I think I am on. Let me check my mic to make sure that's working. Yes, I think we're good. We are on. Nice. Okay, we are live. So, I've got a couple of things to talk about today. As always, I will just kind of start talking, and when people whack in the chat, I will say hi. And I will hopefully remember to keep up with the chat a bit this week. Last week I kind of struggled a bit, or just didn't look at the chat as much, so I'm going to try and be more attentive and more focused on the chat this week, so then I can get everyone's kind of comments and stuff read out. So, as you can see on the title of the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about book publishing today. Now, I'm not going to talk about it in the sense of I really know what I'm talking about or anything like that. I'm just going to talk about it in a kind of general sense of my own experience, the kind of experience I've had with Amazon Kindle publishing, with publishing my poetry books, and how I've found that, how I've managed to kind of navigate that, because it's one of those weird things like book publishing or going to write a book or anything like that. It's kind of one of those things that, for me personally, I was very daunted by, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know where to go, what to do, how to do any of the kind of publishing of books or anything like that. Hi there, Tracy. Nice to see you in the chat. Also, that reminds me as well, we do have some guests coming on. We have, as I mentioned, I think a couple of weeks ago now, next week will be Corey from Power Reselling. Now, I will double check with him just to make sure that he's alright to come on. But we did speak about it, and he said he should be alright to come on the 12th. And we also have Tommy as well, coming on, I believe, the 19th, again, all being well. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure I've stated that, because that's something I'll forget. I'll end up rambling on this video, and I will forget to talk about that. I'll forget to mention it. So yeah, we will be on StreamYard next week, so there'll be a bit of a different setup. My normal kind of graphics and stuff won't be here. But yeah, we will be on StreamYard, and I'll be kind of in... I don't like to use the word interview, because it's not going to be that formal. But we're going to, I'm going to have a little bit of a dialogue with Corey, and I want to see... I've not spoke to him for ages. I've not done a live stream with him in, God knows, 2 years or more, or what, I don't even know. Maybe not quite that long, but a while. I chat to him every now and then on Instagram. But yeah, it'll be really good to have him on the show and kind of get a feel for how he's doing with Amazon and with other things he's doing. The thing about Corey is that we share a lot of motivation, like the ideas we have with regards to motivation, with regards to self-discipline, with regards to the different things we do as well, are all very closely aligned. So it's going to be a good chat, and it's going to be interesting to kind of get his take on certain different things, and just see generally how he's doing as well. And it'll be great also on the 19th to catch up with Tommy. I want to talk about his podcast, because I know it's doing much better at the moment. I know, kind of, there was a time where he was getting, 200, 300, 400 views. But now I did check in on it, a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago or something, and he's doing really well with it, and I think he's had some big guests on as well. So I want to do a bit of research on that side of things before the show and chat to him a little bit more about that as well, because I really want to delve into that. So that's what we got coming in the coming weeks as well. And no doubt I'll get some more guests on as the weeks go by as well, because we need to get some guests on. It's becoming a kind of show where I'm just chatting, and it's getting repetitive, it's getting boring. I need to get some guests on, and I love chatting to people. I love, especially when it's people I've known for quite a while, and I want to know how they're doing. I want to know what's happening in their life, all that sort of stuff. So that'll be really, really interesting over the coming weeks to kind of chat to some people and hopefully get some people on and see how they're doing. And as I say, it is going to be a fairly informal thing. It's never going to be incredibly formal on this channel. That's just not the way I work. I don't work. I'm not a very. I've never been an incredibly formal person, so that's the way it works, and I like it. I like the kind of more chilled, sort of follow along vibe. That it's not too kind of, really formal or anything like that. But anyway, getting back to book publishing. Tracy says that'll be amazing having a guest. Yeah, it will. It'll be great. As I said, I've not done it in so long. I don't even know when my last guest was actually. I could look back on the channel. In fact, I actually should look back on the channel and see when it was, but it was a long time ago. I don't think I can recall in the last few months having a guest or anything like that. Even definitely not this year. Obviously, I've had my flatmates on and stuff, and I suppose that's kind of, they are guests, but I've not really had another reseller on or anyone I knew from that sort of time period a couple of years ago on in well, probably a year or two. So that'd be really good. But yeah, back to book publishing. So as I said, I'm going to kind of talk about it from the standpoint of my own experience, and it is a weird one because I think so many people don't know or don't have a clue, like I didn't, on how to do this, how to actually publish a book or how to go about doing these things. I mean, a lot of people still probably think, because it's still, book publishing isn't really promoted in the realm of the general public, shall we say. So I think for a lot of people, they still kind of feel maybe that it is this incredibly complex process, that you have to try and find a really good editor or publishing house or whatever, and you have to go down that route, and you have to really, it's a long process basically. It's a process of trial and error and making sure that everything's square, all the rest of it. But I mean, I wasn't at that level and I'm not now, and maybe I never will be with my books, with the things I'm writing. And so for me, it's not. When I was first thinking, I've got this poetry, I'll put it into a chat book. I wasn't ever thinking, I'll go to an author, I'll go to a publishing house or whatever. I'll try and do something, whatever the way is, the kind of traditional way that, of course, over the last 200 years or so specifically, people have gone and got books published. I mean, all throughout sort of the 20th century, that's the way kind of thing. But I didn't think that at all, because I thought, I've got to try and find another way to do it, because it's just not going to work like that for me. And I knew, of course, about online publishing. I knew about kind of something to do with Amazon, about publishing things, and I knew about certain things online in brief detail. And I'll give you my experience, and I'll let you know how it's been for me as a process, because I think it's so brilliant for someone who is just wanting to produce a book as, let's say, a creative project. Not necessarily thinking like, how can I make loads of money off this or anything like that, but just as a creative process, as a creative project of something on the side that you're passionate about, that yes, maybe could make you a little bit of money along the way, or maybe make you a good bit of money one day. But I think that for that particular process, that creative act, it is kind of perfect. It's perfect for an individual who is in that mindset of, I'm going to write this anyway, or I'll write these sort of things anyway, and I may as well frame it into a manuscript of a book, and then of course I can publish it on Amazon Kindle Publishing or the like. And I absolutely do think that is brilliant. Now, what is the sort of process? Let's get on to the process before I start kind of rambling too much about just kind of all sorts of different bits and bobs to do with it. So I didn't know anything. So I had certain amount of poems on my phone notes, and I didn't know anything about book structure. I don't know what. Actually, I don't even know formatting. That's what I'm trying to say. I didn't know anything about formatting or anything like that. We've got BCP in. Hi there, BCP. Ben says, hi Adz, been watching you for a while, never commented, just want to say hi. Well, hi there, Ben. I very much appreciate it, your comment there. If you ever want to put things in the chat, be my guest, whack them in there, whatever questions you have or anything like that. And I will try my best to get to them. As you know, sometimes I don't follow the chat that well. I have such respect for those that can tell a story, especially put it in paper. Well, I think it's it's weird because I've never actually wrote a book. I know it sounds bizarre. I've never actually wrote a book. And I think there's other people out there who have books, but they've not wrote a book. And I'll explain, I suppose, a little bit about that in a second. But getting back to this kind of process. So I had never done anything with the formatting. I had never done anything with knowing how to put anything on paper as a book. So I just thought, right, I've just got to go very basic here, and I've just got to type out like a content. I've got to put my poetry, and this nicely leads on to the idea that I've never wrote a book. Because I've got my poetry in my phone notes, and I write a poem, and I put the title in my phone. I write the poem first. The title always comes after. 99% of the time, only 1% of the time, I will write a poem with the title first. I'll never title it first. I'll always write it, and then either I'll pull out if I really can't think of a title. This is the intricacies of sort of any sort of creative process I'm doing. I'll just pick out a line from a poem that I think looks good and put it as a title. That's about, I'd say, 20% of the time, 25% of the time, but 75% of the time, 80% of the time, generally a title will come to me, sort of spontaneously, but I'll always do it after. The poem, because you need to do the poem really, and then a title jumps out at you. So what I thought I would do for the formatting is just, of course, first off, send all my phone notes over to my computer on email, which is each poem is on a separate phone note, and then put them in just as a separate page for a poem. And I thought, well, that's all right, I can do that, that's good. And that doesn't take long at all, as you would suspect. And then I put a little contents page and thought, right, I'll keep it basic. Contents, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, poem, name, little page number or whatever, done. I did do a preface on my first. I've done prefaces for all my books, but the first 2 books, From the Mind of Eccentric and Through Love and Pain. In fact, I probably should, considering, we're talking about the books, I should actually do props, shouldn't I? So, I've got the books up here anyway. So I should do props, right. So these are the books anyway, these are my 2 books. My third one, I've literally just published my third one today, so that's why I've decided to do this video. So I have 2 books, and in these books I've done prefaces. Now, the preface is practically nothing. There you go. That's, if you can see that there, the preface on this side, no, that side even, is practically nothing. Now, this is actually an old copy of the book because I believe on this side they're spaced out now in the newer version that I did this year. Because I do believe this is an older copy. But yeah, so I did that, and I did a little preface for this book as well, an even shorter one, because, well, I didn't really know what to write as a preface. You don't really need a preface. This is one that I've actually marked up for changes, so that's why it's got things on it. But yeah, that's the preface over this side. And in the first 2 books, all of my preface, the lines in the preface rhyme, because in these two books, it's primarily, in fact, From the Mind of an Eccentric, that's entirely rhyming poetry. In that one, I think there might be a few poems that don't rhyme. So in these two, I've kind of done that with the preface. Now in my third book, which I haven't got an actual copy. I need to order the actual copies of it. I've just got a note from my friend's mum on this, actually, because she kindly proofread it. Is that right? Yeah, proofread it. It didn't sound right then. I thought it was a different word. Now in this one, the preface is actually longer. It's you can see there the footnotes and stuff. It's more formal, this preface. I think it's about 6 pages in total, something like that. So there's the end of the preface. It's more formal, that one. Right, have I got this right now? 1 second. Oh, I'll put it down there. I'll sort it in a minute. Me and my lack of trait conscientiousness. That one's a little bit longer, that preface. So I did a little preface, and then basically I thought, right, let's go for it, because I'm not the one downfall of me. It's actually it's a positive trait within me, but it's a negative trait at the same time. Is I kind of go in all guns blazing. I'm not really. I don't really like to rest on my laurels, so I'm like, let's go and let's do it. I'm very kind of like keen like that. As I'm slowly kind of getting more mature, I am getting a bit more conscientious. I'm getting a bit more, oh, well, hang on a minute. I've done this before and it didn't work out so well when I was a bit too brash, so I'm going to rein myself in a bit here. What was I talking about? So I went on to Kindle publishing, and this will be good. This will be getting into some sort of valuable information for people who, if you'd like to do it, if you'd ever like to do a book or anything like that. So I went on and, you go through the process. It is actually a rather simple process. You have let's say I've done my preface that you saw there. I've done my contents page, and I've put my poetry in. In fact, actually, I'll just show you kind of like a brief look at how I've laid it out. You may have seen this already if you've seen any of my books, but very, very simple. The number of the poem in the book, and then the name of the poem. A dedication in this case, cause I don't really do dedications in poems, but in this case I did. I've got my little header with the title of the book and then page number there. I've kept it very, very simple. My plan is actually, as I write more books, because this of course was my first one anyway, but as I write more books, I'm going to be a bit more conscientious even still, and really get a nice looking layout. Because you see in some books, don't you? You see when you read some books, you think, wow, they've really done a brilliant job with the formatting, and they've got all sorts of different font styles, and they've made it look incredibly attractive. I mean, for a poetry book, it really isn't necessary, to be honest. Poetry books favour simplistic styling and favour kind of more simplistic formatting, at least in my opinion. In the poetry books that I've read, the ones that I like, it doesn't really matter about stylistic choices of fonts and all this. A basic kind of just the poem in a nice font is fine. You don't need to go overboard with all these different things, fancy things on the page, adornments or anything like that. It's just kind of abundantly unnecessary. And so that just works. It works quite well in the poetry books that I've read. Maybe some of the... is it the Oxford series? I always want to... No, it's a Penguin series. I don't know whether that is from Oxford, actually, but the Penguin series and things like that, they've got, nothing crazy fancy or anything, but it works brilliantly. So I went on and I published my paperback, and I went through, and it tells you basically on the first page, put in your author name and all the rest of it, and if there's any other contributors, and put in if you own the copyright. Now that's something that we can talk about, because that's another kind of little hurdle as well. Is, you obviously have to go away, you have to get copyright in, well, either worldwide copyright or copyright in a certain number of territories, depending on where you're selling it and all the rest of it. And I thought that would be an incredibly hard process, and I thought to myself, oh no, I've shot myself in the foot here. What have I landed myself in for? It's going to be too hard. But it wasn't too hard. I literally went on this site. It was a UK site. To get copyright, you get a little certificate as well that you can either print off or that you can have sent to you. And that's that. It's protected. And you pay, I think it's £33 per year. And you get X number of books that you can protect, or pieces of work that you can protect. And that protects them. And all you have to, of course, remember to do is, if you make any changes to the manuscript, you have to re-upload it and use up these little things that you have are called tokens, like copyright tokens. So, or at least on this site, that's what they're called anyway. So if you do that, if you make changes to your manuscript, you get a certain amount of these tokens for your 33 quid or whatever. And if you do the changes to the manuscript, you have to remove the one that's been copyrighted and then redo it. So, but then of course you're using up another token. But that's not bad, so long as, let's say, you're not really making changes to your manuscript often or anything like that. So that was okay. So then I got my copyright and I checked yes on Amazon Kindle Publishing. I've got my copyright. And, you put your keywords in and stuff like that, which I didn't really pay too much attention to. That's something I need to go back and do at a later date. I want to really have a look at the keywords and all the rest of it. But for the moment, I'm just focused on working on the books, getting them out, publishing them, and then they're there. And then they're on Amazon, and that's that. And then when I come to actually want to get them out there at a later date, because it's not my priority at the moment to get them out there. This is just very much a side project at the moment that isn't particularly for monetary, anything monetary right now. In the future, of course, it will be. So yeah, my focus is just getting them out there, but you can put your keywords in, and then you put in a couple of other little bits of information very simply. Then you click your next button, and then you can upload your manuscript, and you upload your manuscript there. I think it's in PhD. Yeah, I did do it today, and it is in PDF format. And you put that on, and then you can do a cover. Now, luckily myself, I know how to do Photoshop, so I managed to do, I did all the covers myself for all the books I've done in Photoshop, and I like that because it gives it a more creative, personal touch for me, and to know that I've done the covers. And I mean, actually, I'm not a bloody artist or anything, I'm not anyone like that. I'm not a typographer or something, the people who do the fonts, or is it a topographer? I don't know anyway. I'm nothing like that, but you can see, the covers look alright, they're not too bad. And then there's a little blurb on that. There's my copyright thing as well, copyright notice. And then I've got a little picture of myself there as the author. I just saw that on other books, so I thought, bugger it, I'm doing that myself, And then there's my other picture of myself on that one. I think I'll probably do a different one each book. Because it makes it look a bit fresh, doesn't it, if you do a different picture, and then the blurb and all the rest of it. But I quite like the layout. It came out quite nice, actually. I know you can't really see it that great because the light's a bit blaring, isn't it? But yeah, so I did my cover, and you upload your cover, and then you go on and you select your territories, which countries you can sell in. Now, you have to be careful with this because when you're selecting your territories, you have to make sure they align up to the territories that you've got copyright in. If you don't have copyright in a specific territory and then you're then selling in that territory and you've stated that you've got copyright, on that earlier page, that's probably not going to be very good for you. So, so you've got to make sure that those territories align up to what you're copyrighted in, which territories you're also, protected in. And then, it's literally a case of setting your price and uploading it. Now, that's the paperback. And the paperback, for me at least, is always the easiest version to do. You do your paperback and you're all right. You can format that quite easily. You don't really need to do any page breaks or anything like that, or line breaks. But then comes the Kindle formatting. Now, what I did for this was, again, I didn't have a clue on what I was doing. As I said, I like to go in and don't rest on my laurels, and I just like to get things done. And so, for better or for worse, I did that. And I looked on YouTube and I looked on a tutorial. And then on the tutorial, it was a fairly easy one to follow. So I was following it along while I was dipping in and out of my Word document. And it was basically telling me to do these word page breaks and all the rest of it, all this sort of stuff. Anyway, so I was doing that and I was going through because you see, when you go on Kindle, the Amazon system doesn't at least for a Kindle book, not for a paperback, but for a Kindle, the Amazon system doesn't recognize where one page ends and where another begins. When you upload your paperback, it recognizes it, and when you go into your previewer, before you publish your paperback, you preview your book to make sure everything's square. Really good previewer, highlights everything, aligns it up beautifully for you to see, and for you to see where things have gone wrong and all the rest of it, with the cover or with different pages and stuff. So that's brilliant. But if you don't do your page breaks, then what happens is you essentially will have it that you're on your Kindle previewer that you've looked at. It's all jumbled up, it's not in the right places at all. I'm just going to have a look in the chat because I think we've got a couple of people just joined. Oh, Tommy's joined. Hi there, Tommy. Shazad's in. Hi there, Shazad. Good to see that Adz hasn't lost his habit of not reading the chat. Yeah, I know, it's bad, isn't it? Yeah, it's because I'm on a roll of I published a book on Kindle publishing today, and I'm on a roll talking about this. And when I've started talking about it, now I don't want to stop because I'm getting into the details of it, and I'm like, right, I've got to get through these details, and then when I've finished. So anyway. So it can get all, messed up, and you can have one part of a page on another page that you didn't want there. So I spent bloody hours sorting out, on this Kindle viewer. Oh, hang on, I've not done my page breaks properly, and I don't know what I'm doing here, and all that. And so I kept re-uploading the manuscript. This was for my first book. It was a nightmare. And I watched these tutorials, and I was like, right, where am I going wrong? Scratching my head, all the rest of it. And then I would go on the Kindle previewer, and I was like, right, okay, great, I've got it in alignment now, brilliant. But then I realised on the Kindle previewer on KDP, that's Amazon Kindle Publishing, by the way, just the abbreviation. At the top of the previewer, you have a select down to see how it looks on other devices. So you've got how it looks on a Kindle tablet, which is the one that most people are going to use. How it looks on an ordinary tablet, which again, a lot of people are going to use. Or how it looks on a phone, which maybe a fewer number of people are going to use. But of course, I want it to look as it should on all of the devices, as anyone would. So I go down and I look at it on the phone. And it's all skew width on the phone because, of course, it's a different layout on the phone to the Amazon Kindle tablet. So then I'm like, hang on a minute, how the hell am I going to do this? Because when I change it this way, it looks good on the phone, but not good on the tablet. If I change it this way, it looks good on the tablet, but not good on the phone. So I'm rearranging, planning, trying to structure this thing like crazy. And upload this manuscript about 100 times. Well, it bloody felt like 100 times. It was probably about... It was in the teens. It was definitely in the teens of the amount of times I had re-uploaded this document. And then I get it right. I'm like, brilliant. Yes, I've got it right. So I get that right, upload it, and then obviously you go through and you select your territories again, and you select your price and all that. And I always do a lower price for Kindle, of course, because... well, that's just what people do, isn't it? Everyone suggests or has a lower price for a Kindle. And, of course, your royalties are naturally higher for a Kindle than for a paperback anyway, because your paperback costs Amazon X amount, like £1.70 normally or something like that, to produce. And so then you've got that to come off, and sometimes more than that as well, because I'm sure there's some other little costs and stuff with it as well. Because if I publish a book for $3.99, let's say, or like a little poetry chat book of 40 pages or whatever, $3.99, $4.99, I don't get anywhere near £2. As I said there, well, I've said that a printing cost is £1.70. Well, you would imagine then, if I'm charging $3.99, I would get £2.08 or, whatever it would be. I don't know what it would be, £2.10 or something in royalty, but I don't at all. I get like 60p or something if I was to charge $3.99. So, of course, there's other costs there as well. But yeah, so then you do that, and then you're done. And then it has it on, when you go back to your bookshelf in your dashboard, it has your book there, and you can link your ebook to your... In fact, most of the time it automatically does this, or you'll have already done it yourself. It'll link it in one sort of segment on the page like that, with your paperback in one side and your Kindle on another. And then, of course, you can go into your reports and you see your sales and all that. But that's how I've done it, and that's how I've done the books, and that's worked for me. Now, of course, will there come a time where I will do it the traditional route? For sure. But as I say, at the moment, it's a creative project. It's not something that I am thinking, let's make loads of money off this right now, because it's not that at the moment. Maybe it will be that one day, but it's not that at the moment. It's a more something that I enjoy doing, something that I'm going to do anyway, so I may as well publish them as books. And that's how I like it, because then it takes the pressure off. You think, I'm just doing it anyway, I'm going to write this stuff anyway, I may as well just structure it into a book. I've refined my process now, so that then I know what I'm doing with structuring a book now, quite easily, a poetry book at least, so I can just structure it dead easy on the in the Word document. I have a cover template ready-made in Photoshop, so of course I will drastically change the cover again, just to show the people who, let's say, just arrived. You can see here the covers are drastically different anyway, but the actual cover template is the same. Well, ironically, in this case it isn't, because this book, as you will know, is bigger than this book, so I actually had to do a different template for this one. But my third book, which if I get, there we go, that's it. And as I say, this is just the manuscript, this isn't the actual book yet. But this book is the same size as my first book, so I've managed to use the same template there with that one. So, it's not so bad. And you think, you send your poetry over from your phone notes, you whack it all in that book, you whack it all in that document, you put your little header on with your title and the page number, you put your contents in, do a little preface, do a cover. Literally, you can have that book kind of up to almost like a semi-finished state, literally within a day, in terms of the formatting, you know what I mean? In terms of like putting it in a document and doing all these things, or, maybe 2 or 3 days really, if you're writing a longer preface or something like that. But no, you can really have it formatted quite good and almost kind of good to go there and then. And of course, when I'm doing a poem, I'll just collect the poems over a number of weeks or a number of months, and then I'll filter out, and I have a big, what I call my trash poetry document. There might be some okay poems in there, but it's one of those. This document I have. It's a dumping ground for all my poetry, and I pick out of it the good ones, and then I put them in there. But that's how I'm doing it now, and I'm trying to get better and better and better at picking out like the real gems and leaving the crap. Because my first book wasn't so good, second book was much better, then third book is, well, we'll just call it different. We'll call it different, and then with my fourth book, it's going to be really picked out, like the gems of the gems. And I'm going to keep doing that. So that then by like the time my 10th book comes around, like it's like incredible. Like it's incredible. So I'm like keep bettering myself in that kind of way up the ranks. But this trash poetry book document, you see, it'll just accumulate. It's already on 300 pages. 300 pages of poetry just that I will not publish. 300, probably about 150 poems, or maybe more than that, because it's probably just over a poem to a page, so it's probably like a poem every 2 pages or something. In most cases, maybe some cases, a poem to a page, and that might be 2,000 pages or 3,000 pages by the time I'm dead. And then if someone wants to go on my computer after I'm dead and then say, right, uncollected works of Adz Robinson, publish it if you really want to do that. If I am anything of a poet at that time, then they can do it. But and I'm not saying it's going to be good poetry, but yeah, they can do that, and then that's my kind of final uncollected works. But what I want someone to do, in fact, if anyone's watching this, I'm dead right now, please, if you're the person who's going to publish this, just title the book Trash Poetry or Poetry Crap Unreleased Poetry. Just title it something like that. Don't put it as like something serious, because I don't want my name to be attached to that in a serious manner. Just put it like crap poetry, the dregs of poetry, I want people to know me for the good stuff, in like my 10th book, where I've, got it down. So yeah, just that's what you can do if you're watching. Anyway, so that's the kind of process of what I do, and I'm constantly refining these kind of processes and how I'm doing things and how I'm thinking about things and how I'm moving forward with these things. Right, I'm going to let me go up the chat a little bit. Is that the Shure SM7V mic? It is the Shure MV7, not SM7V, but so it's close, but it's not the exact kind of. It's not the exact one, I don't think. Only Tommy would ask what mic someone is using. Isn't Ad's detailed explanation of book publishing enthralling enough? I know. Oh, you know what? I keep going over it. I keep going to put my hand on this mug, and I've not. Yes, it is the Hump the Chair mug, by the way. And I've not even got anything in it. That's my mug from this morning. That's my coffee mug from this morning. So what is going on? Would you invest in a young inventor with over 70 different inventions? If I had the money at the time, probably. I mean, you see, something like that is like a very personal investment. I'd want to meet the person. I'd want to be very familiar with the person in, like, I don't know, in an online way or something. I don't know, but it seems like more of a personal investment. That doesn't mean to say it's not like you're investing in a thing. You're not really investing in the inventions per se. You're investing in the mind of the person. So I want to meet someone like that, and I want to kind of get to know them and all the rest of it. I had a really interesting idea yesterday that I'd love to do when I'm older. If I've got like a real amount of money, like if ever I come into a lot of money, I am doing this, right? So I think there's this disconnect between inventions or like inventors and things like that and creative writers, right? So if you watch things like Rick and Morty, or you watch kind of things, or you read any sort of fiction books, you will see from the minds of those creative writers tons of inventions, like tons of whimsical and weird inventions, right? That just never never come into existence, right? And so what I would love to do, and this wouldn't be a practical thing, by the way, I mean, in the sense that this wouldn't actually bring any value to society, in a sense. It would just be for the fun of doing it, you know, and just to see what we can produce. It's kind of like Elon Musk's Boring Company in a way, I suppose, but in a different sort of way, I think. Anyway, so you've got these creative writers. So what you do is you create a big factory. Like, I'm talking like a Willy Wonka type factory, but not for chocolate. Just full. You hire loads of engineers, and you hire like inventors and people like that. And then you get together like all these awesome creatives. You put them in a room. They churn out loads of these like ideas, like these incredible rich ideas for different weird random inventions. And instead of those ideas never getting placed in reality, because you see, I like to think of myself, or I like what I want to do in life. Because I really do feel like this is the fundamental, one of the fundamental aspects of life itself, of what life means, is taking an idea and creating it in reality. I really think that is life. Because think about it. Before you were born, you were an idea, right? We all know that story. Oh, you were a twinkle in your dad's eye or whatever. Or, oh, you know, we had these ideas about you and all the rest of it. And then, of course, through the act that we are all familiar with that makes a child, then that person comes into the real world. And so it was the idea of having the child that actually created the child in the end, or so to speak. You could say that. And all of these things around us, you know, all the, like Jung has said this in Great Minds of the 20th Century interview, all of these things around us were fantasy. This computer that I'm talking to you on right now, this desk, this chair, these are all ideas that didn't have any reality in a sense. You know, they were just ideas. That was it. They were just fantasy. To let's say, an average person, they would say there's nothing but thin air in this desk or that chair, and you know, it was once just nothing but thin air, but now it's a reality. So I really do feel like that is a fundamental principle of life. So what I want to do is do that on like a mass scale, just capture all of these creative ideas and put them into reality. And I don't think that's being done in the most efficient way it could be done at the moment, just for the fun of creating life, of creativity. So what you do is you get all these creatives and you get all of these engineers. These creatives, you just let them free, like canvas, you know, blank canvas. You let them like just come up with crazy stuff. Then what we do is go to the engineers. They say, right, is this a reality? And I know that there are people doing this, by the way, but not like in the way I want to do it, and not like in the, like really on that kind of more creative, exuberant stance of what I want to do. I want it to be whimsical and magical and Zeusian and Willy Wonka-ish and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So then you go to the engineers, these creatives, and we say, right, can we do this? Is this feasible? Make some adjustments, all the rest of it. And then we get these things, and then we produce these things, and then and we don't produce them on a mass scale or anything like that. We literally do it by like job production, and we maybe create like 20 of these things or 50 of these things, right? And I mean, you could literally turn this into a business as well, because people would, if you were producing like really interesting, whimsical stuff, these could be pieces of artwork that people end up having at home or whatever. But yet they're also inventions as well that people could use in some sort of whimsical fashion, at least, or for some sort of purpose that hasn't even been invented yet. The purpose itself would be invented along with the invention. Anyway, so you do that, and then, but we just create this factory, and we just call it like the imagination factory, where these creatives are coming, and it'd be so cool. Wouldn't that be like, wouldn't this be so cool? Like, I think that'd be so cool. But no, no, Shazad, the best poem fight. No, I'm not gonna. No, don't do that. No one do that for me. I hate that. That's my worst poetry, that stuff. Actually, I should read one of them out from my crap poetry. Shall we do that? We'll just read one out from my little crap poetry book. Where is it now? I have to find the bloody document now. Where is it? Oh, random poetry file. That's what it's called. It's not called trash poetry. I was nice to myself. Right, let's... yeah, you ready for some crap poetry? Right, okay. Here we go. Right, so this one's called The Horror of Hermes. The man behind the story, stripped of all his glory, putting rag clothes on again, a sad upkeeper of the flame. It is not him who walks in magic, it is him who falls quite tragic. It is not him who weaves the play, it is him who is stained today. Flower in my thoughts, words do not. I'm the only vessel that she's got, she who is truly creative, that fragrance which is innovative. I am left a wasted old figure, nothing more to invigor, a human brain easily spent, as nothing more than a scent. These people do adore, a burden that's my chore, while I must forever know, this language I never sow. I think there's one more page to this as well. Oh no, there isn't. No, cool. Okay, that's it. Yeah, see, it's a bit crap, innit? Yeah. God, it makes me cringe. I don't like with some of this. I really don't like. God, don't. I know it's horrible. It gets me. It's like, yeah. Oh God, that one's horrible. That one's bad. Why the hell's the Land of Far Away features in here? I've already taken that off. That's actually in one of my books. It's in my book that's down there. Why is that one in here? What is this one? Oh my God. Anyway, right, let's go back. I get addicted to poetry because I read it. I just like reading it out. It doesn't really matter whether it's crap or not. I just like reading it out, you know. Do you think you're exactly what the twinkle was thinking? I don't even know what the hell does that mean? My God, I don't even know what that... Oh my God, I don't even know what that means. Is the chair feeling a sense of loss and abandonment without the ads cards? I don't think so. I think it quite likes it. It's quite nice. You know what? I really need to take this chair with me to uni. I don't want a bloody crappy office chair again. I can't do that crap. No, I'm taking it. I'm taking this to uni actually, because yeah, it's a nice chair. Yeah. So I don't know what that twinkle thing was. I haven't a clue. So yeah, that's the book publishing done. So we talked about that. So that's good. That's decent. Oh, God, right, okay. Well, we may as well read this one out because this one's, yeah. I'm not going to say the title because it's in Latin and I don't know how to pronounce it. I just put it in Latin because I thought it would look cool. I'm going to change the title because it's just hollow words, isn't it? If I'm just putting it in Latin like that when I don't even know Latin. Anyway, the solemn sounds of space, hushed hearts and glowing gardens. The bustle continues, despite my frozen stance. Is this what it is like to hear existence, to hear the mechanics of life? Perfect knowledge is not to be understood, but lived on the invisible tides of the breath? How many steps does it take to become wise? A question I have often asked myself. But alas, it is wrong. How many steps does it take to realise the steps themselves are wisdom? This is closer to truth, closer to life. Wisdom, experience, knowledge, eureka! The moment of maximum magnificence may only come from the preceding steps. Steps that must, unfortunately, be consulted with in ignorance. Fires permeate the microcosmic fountain of life only when necessary, only when knowledge of meaning is absolutely required. Links are made, laughs are shared, love is large. Don't know whether there's any more. Oh yeah, there is. Loneliness pervades the existence of the man haunted by intellect. To touch, to love, to care, these are all but a passing leaf on the wind, for better or for worse. Life passing, flowing, without ever embracing, without ever dancing pressed against the soul of another. I would be sad, but I know that this is a leaf all the same. To gain such superb sights, such striking visions and thoughts from spontaneous descent, this is to look into the heart of nature, but alone it always remains. I gaze, I graft, I gather, yet what is only apparent is the persistent presence of nothing. The silence of the trumpets and drums must press on, for life has to march at a certain rhythm. I only wish that one day my rhythm may match that of hers. Wow, that's very bloody old-timey romantic, isn't it, that last bit? Jeez, oh, God. Oh, it's too template. It's too template for my liking, that. Yeah, it's a bit too template. It's okay, it's better. It's better than the other one. But it's a bit template still. Right, okay, so we may as well go in a minute, actually. If anyone's got any more questions in the chat, whack them in. As I mentioned before earlier on in the chat, I think it was at the beginning, I have got Corey, Power Reselling, very, very likely, 90-95%, coming on next week. And we'll be on StreamYard, most probably for that, because I don't know how to do OBS, with two people. I haven't a clue. I've never grasped that. That's one of the only things I've never grasped. I go on YouTube, I look at tutorials, and I can't grasp it. So, although saying that, I haven't really tried to the greatest degree of maybe how I should have done. But no, I've never grasped that, so I'm going to do that on StreamYard. And then the week after, most likely, he is in the chat as well. We've got Tommy coming on, as I say, all being well. So, we've got those two shows to look forward to. I will be contacting a few other people as well over the coming weeks to get a couple more guests on, get it a bit more lively, get a bit of rhythm going. And as I mentioned at the start of the chat, I really like kind of seeing people on and talking to them and having a laugh with them and seeing what's good in their life and what's going on, how things are going, all that sort of stuff. That'll be very, very interesting, and I can't wait for that over the next few weeks. So I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked it, as always give it a whack on the like button down below. And I will leave it there. So thank you very much, and I will see you next week. We'll be back also at 7 p.m. as usual next week on Thursday. And it won't be long, actually. Well, I say it won't be long. It'll be 4 weeks or so, and then I will be back in Bangor. And that'll be really good. So I'll show you around the new place and all the rest of it there. And be cool. So I'll leave it there. Thanks very much, guys, and I will see you very soon. See you soon. Diddly-did, 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 diddly-did.